And we are live.
Hi everyone, Kelly Kaye here. Today we're going to hear from Scott Sewell, Principal Program Manager for Power BI, and he's going to talk to us about Power Apps, Dynamics 365, Dataverse, and a whole lot more. Starting now on the Power BI Community Show. Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what your time zone is. Thank you for joining us today on the Power BI Community Show. We're super happy that you joined us, that you took the time to join us. The Power BI Community Show, for those of you who are here for the first time, is streamed live every couple of weeks on both the Power Platform and the Power BI YouTube channels. Today, to check out past episodes, you can go to our new playlist. Isn't that right, Daniel Zana, our producer?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find that on aka.ms/Power BI show, as well as the Power BI YouTube channel.
Thank you so much. Yay. And to comment on today's show, please go to aka.ms Power BI, PBI show comment. So that's aka.ms PBI show comment. And we'll have our lovely Eileen and Natalie, community managers, our Power BI community managers. They're on standby to answer your question. Yes, this is a live show. And yes, I laughed at something that popped up on the screen there. So thank you. Okay, what's the Power BI show about? We're going to show you a bunch of segments, demos, connect with MVPs, community members, product engineering teams, and other people from the Power BI product group to help you, the community, connect with everybody else who loves Power BI and show you everything that you can do with Power BI. Okay, today we're going to kick off some of our giveaway hints. That is that we'll be giving away some Power BI anniversary t-shirts. They're the vintage ones from our 5th anniversary. I know they're in huge demand. We have a few left that we found back in our storage room after we went back to the office after the pandemic. So if you'd like to be in the running to win one of those, stand by for the hints. Okay. Anything I've forgotten there, Daniel? I think we're good, right?
Yeah, everything sounds good so far. I'm excited. Oop, I think I hear someone at the door.
Who's knocking at the door?
I might go let him in.
Knocking at my door. So that's an Australian group, by the way, Men at Work. Okay. So today we have the amazing Scott Sewell from the Power BI CAT team. Scott is a principal program manager. He's exceptional, intelligent, and I learn from him every time we chat. So Scott, is Scott here? Did you let Scott in, Daniel?
Hey, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the invite, Kelly. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I got to say, I am such a fan of the community. I came from the community. This was the community is where I started, and I learned so much from the people in the community, and I appreciate how much time is being invested in community members, helping other people. It's just a tremendous opportunity to get a chance to share with you a little bit about what's going on here.
We're so excited that you could take the time because we know you're a bit of a big deal now, you know. I just saw Alex Powers comment as well. So hi, Alex. Hi, everyone there. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, so today, Scott is going to show us about how you can use your Power BI skills to be a superhero using several different methods, and you've got a few demos for us. I mean, it's jam-packed today.
Yeah, I think we'll have some fun with this because there's a lot of different ways we can talk about it, and we'll take some looks at different ways we can get the two products together and talk about how they bounce off of each other and how they bring value to each other.
Okay. Well, firstly, sorry, for those who are new,
go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us, the elevator speech.
Sure. I started with Microsoft, installing Microsoft Dynamics CRM 1.0. It's coming up on 20 years ago with the very first version of that. And installed it and helped bring that out into customers and get them using it. And that was really just this contact management application back in the old days.
Okay.
We got it started, but all the time I did this, I kept finding that there was so much really, really good information being captured and processed inside of this application that wasn't getting, we weren't taking advantage of it the way I thought we could. And so roll forward a few years, I helped out with when the pandemic came in, I helped out with bringing Power BI into a Dynamics Power App implementation, and got connected with the Power BI team, and eventually wound up over on the Power BI Cat team. I'm not even anywhere close to Seattle. I'm out in the middle of West Tennessee. Just moved here from New York City. So I moved from 12 million, 16 million people to a town of about 6,000 people.
Wow.
So it's been good though. It's been great. So
That's
I'm excited
awesome.
about this.
Me too. I'm super excited. I think it's so awesome. I love the fact that you've not only used Power BI as a product, which all of us do, but that integration point, a lot of our users, a lot of our customers, and a lot of our developers are asking, how can we do certain things with all of these other products that we have that, really seamlessly go together. They really do, I have to say,
Yeah,
and it's great that you're going to show us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, and as a Power BI, so many people on this call are going to be Power BI professionals, and as a Power BI professional, you've got this insight and you've got this ability. Verily, it's a super ability, a superpower that you can bring some understanding and draw out insights out of the data that's spread out across your organization.
Yeah.
And I really want to share with you one of the places where you're going to find a lot of data and a lot of business application processes going on, where you can bring a tremendous amount of data. I was just talking with one of a good friend who's running one of the global ISVs on the Dynamics side. And he says they no longer do any implementations without Power BI, because Power BI always, they're strictly a Dynamics shop. And Power BI is the way they find that they can unlock real insights and real value out of their business. And so you, as a Power BI professional, have this magic wand with Power BI that can help these other parts of your organization that are spinning up Power Apps or spinning up Dynamics really take full advantage. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to get over the threshold and get started with it and help unlock that value for you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy, because so many people say it's so hard to do it. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because we just haven't shown people how to do it, and I'm sure that others have as well. But I know that you've got some shortcuts and some great tips here, and I'm super excited. So let me
show you one.
You should start.
Let me show you a quick demo. Let me show you a fast demo.
Okay.
Kind of give you a sense of what it looks like. And let me show you my screen here. So this one is, we're going to look at Power BI inside of Dynamics and just kind of get a sense of what it is. Now, this is Dynamics, and we've got my contact list here. I can, very easily embed things in a dashboard. Drop a dashboard in and bring a Power BI dashboard into Dynamics so that it goes out and processes the data that's there and will serve it up and give us some insights on it. So this is a sales dashboard, and the types of things that everybody's comfortable with using Power BI and to look at data, bringing the insights, the AI, those tools that are available. It's all right here, and bring it in and serve it up in there. The thing I want to impress upon you as a Power BI professional is this sometimes feels like some sort of dark magic that you have the ability to deliver that the individuals who only have access to Dynamics haven't yet crossed over and understood yet. So this is really that power up that can help you both in your own personal career as well as help your teams out, to be able to embed Power BI into a Dynamics report. Now, this is just showing us as a dashboard. Let's go down a level from that and say, maybe we're looking at a list of accounts that are out there. And these accounts are just company records. and this is, by the way, this is all sample data. This is not no real individuals here, but I can just grab a individual, or grab a datum here, top of the list. And so in Dynamics, I'm going to a company record, and it could be a company record, it could be a person record, it could be a facility record, whatever it is. I've got general stuff about the information on the record. But if you notice, I've added an analytics tab. Now, this analytics tab is just a way to embed a Power BI report into an individual record. And when I'm going to this individual report, I open it up and it passes the information about what record am I looking at, passes it to the embedded report. And so now I'm on the ADatum account, and I'm also seeing an ADatum Corporation report about that account. A couple of things about that are pretty that I find to be pretty amazing. Number one, just the fact that you've got the amazing stuff like the smart narratives and the AI and the visualization. That's all great. Then that can be awesome. The other thing about this that brings that superpower to the Dynamics side is this can be data that's both data inside of Dynamics and data outside of Dynamics. And what this winds up doing is it makes this application that 360-degree view that we've always promised our teams. Not only can we see, if I go to the context, I'm going to have a conversation with this particular customer, or I'm going to look at a particular facility, I can go to 3 or 4 different reports very quickly. Some of the reports that you've built in Power BI today, they're sitting in, I hate to call them silos, but they're kind of in different data models. They're in different instances or different SKUs, so they're sitting out there. What you can do is say, let me take the context of these different reports and bring them together and show it to the users. Really powerfully unlocks value. And again, it gets more usage on your own reports, so that people go, oh, I know this amazing work that Kelly's doing over here. If I just go to this area, I can see all these different reports Kelly's been working on from different parts of the organization. Really cool thing. Isn't that awesome?
I love that. And I think that there's such a huge opportunity here. And I love that you say you don't have to be right into that Dynamics data. And so, for those,
let me show you. And so there, what is kind of that, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Let me show you one other thing.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a part of this. So if I'm going to show you my screen again, and this is the Dynamics, a Dynamics view of opportunities, for instance. I've got opportunities. I can see the different opportunities. But if you notice up here in the ribbon, there's a new feature that's been added called Visualize This View, and it's got that lovely Power BI logo on it, or icon, whatever it is. I'll be corrected on that. But it's the Power BI yellow stairs. And if I click on that, it will open up a Power BI report that's dynamically built on the view that I'm looking at. And it's going to go out and pull together the metadata, pull together the view, all the field names, and dynamically create a view, a report right here in the window. It's got the fields that I've looked at, and it's generating it up. Let me show you what it looks like here. Now it starts displaying. And so now I'm looking at a visual of the view that I'm looking at, and I can then go forward and save that if I want to. I can make edits to this and change, I want that to be, heaven forbid we don't want any pie charts in it, but we'll do something else. We'll put a stack chart or something like that. But I can make changes to the view and bring that forward, and then display it out from there. So that's a new feature that's been added. But as a Power BI professional, you'll want to know that this is coming in, because some of our Dynamics users haven't had access to this before, and now they're going to start using this, and it's just going to get them that taste of what it can be, and then they'll want to go further with it, because this is a very simple approach, but it's going to be and open the door to this world of possibilities that they've got going forward. So that's pretty cool, I think.
I think it's so fantastic, and it also shows some of the synergies, right? So I can look at my Power BI service and I can look at the Dynamics one, and sometimes I have to do a double take to see, okay, what's the symbol up in the left-hand corner to make sure that, I know which environment I'm in, kind of thing, but really it should look seamless. And, I've got a couple of questions though. I wanted to do a shout out first to Jason Himmelstein, thanks, hi, and Chris Wagner as well, who's been commenting here. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Is there something that you can help us understand kind of the Dynamics and Power Apps? And, how is it that we can, how do they work together?
Sure. That's a great question. And that's one that I could probably, I need to have on repeat because it's one that's easily confusing. But let me back up for a second and say, there's like 3 layers here. 3 layers is going on.
Okay.
At the top is like Dynamics 365. That's an application for tracking sales or service or some other types of features. And that's an application that Microsoft develops and deploys, and you can sign up and use that. It's great. It's what I've used all the time. But what came out of Dynamics actually is the whole framework of how Dynamics gets built and how Dynamics gets served up, and that really became Power Apps. And so Power Apps is really the foundation that Dynamics is built on in terms of an application layer. So Power Apps is that sort of that full application layer, and then right below that, part of Power Apps is what we call Dataverse, and Dataverse is the data layer underneath all that. And so Dataverse it's not a database because it's got a lot more going on than just a database, because it's got a security model, it's got an automation model built into it, it's got a lot of things going on, APIs, but it's Dataverse is where all the data is sitting in the application. But yeah, it's an easily confused thing, but it's really all part of the same fun time.
And you need Power BI with all of them, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
as I'm saying that, I know that somebody's sent me a message about my cup. So I just want to do a shout out to David Warner, who arranged for this. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say who did it, but thank you very much. Everybody's very excited about my cup, and so am I. Okay.
Sparkly, isn't it?
It is sparkly. It's wonderful.
Nice.
And it's all of the Power BI colors. Okay. So what are we going to do next?
Well, a lot of times, Kelly, one of the things that we run into early on is, and I'll say I'm the first one to say, my first experience in trying to get data from Dataverse into Power BI was a bit of a train wreck. That was my first attempt.
Me too.
And so I tried some things, I did some things wrong, but I learned, and I'm more than happy to share those things that are to learn, to say, oh, here's actually an easy way to do it. And by the way, I've also got some documentation being delivered, hopefully in the next few weeks, that should help bring out some of this material. But I thought I might show you some ways in which you can connect. If I'm starting with Power BI, how do I get data out of Dataverse? Fair enough?
Yeah, let's do that right now.
Let's flip over to my desktop, and I've got let me go to a simpler one here. So this is an example where, let me maximize that. Okay. This is just a simple example where I'm getting data. You know what, Kelly? I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to go back to a different one.
Okay.
Quickly, if you don't mind. All right.
See, the best thing I love about Scott is that he's got 1,000 million demos.
Too many, way too many.
And they're all good. I think that's just what Chris said as well earlier on the message. But Scott's like, oh, let me just grab this demo.
This is fun. It's just an opportunity to show off the thing. One of the things, let's just start with inside of Power BI. And you don't know how happy I was to see this button show up one day. Is I've got a Dataverse link directly from the URL right there. It's a first class, right up there with Excel. No offense to Excel people, but it's right up there, ready to go. I can connect directly to Power BI through a SQL endpoint. This can be connect directly to Dataverse through that endpoint. And I've already done that in this environment. Let me show you what it looks like, and show you some tips and tricks on how to get that done easily the first time. So here it is. I've got my account query. And if I go to my advanced editor, I go out and I say, give me, and it's just giving and Power Query everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Shout out there. And so I bring in the Common Data Service, which is it was a previous name of Dataverse. Common Data Service, Dataverse, same thing, just kind of an evolution of the naming sequence there. And I'm pointing to my environment, database there, and I'm telling it I want the account. Now, when I do that, I'm telling it I want the entire account table, which is quite a bit, actually. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of columns, and it actually, if you'll notice, it took it a second to load up this whole set of columns. So first tip number one, before you do anything else, jump in and choose columns. Choose the columns you want to use and narrow it down to just a subset. So if I wanted to grab the account and maybe the state or province, and maybe the owner, and we can do, let's do the industry. So we'll grab the industry as well. So I'm going to narrow that down to just a handful of columns. You'll know that. So now I'm going to select column. What that's going to do is a couple of things. It's going to make the query run much, much faster. Number two, it's going to avoid any kind of there is a on the TDS, which is the kind of connector, there's a limit of 80 megabytes per query. So if I run a query and ask for data, if it's trying to return more than 80 megabytes, it puts a kibosh on that, because that would wind up slowing down other things. So if it's less than 80 megabytes, it's great. And this kind of narrows it down to just that subset I want to deal with. And I can close and apply that, and I can work with that as a data set. Awesome. So there's also a couple of hints that I'd like to throw in there with that. And these are fairly new. And if so the normal version of this is looks just like that, where I've got the Common Data Service and I've got my URL, so the URL to my environment, that's the dataversecrm.dynamics.com. Just in case you forgot seeing it earlier, it is right here. To grab it off of this right here. So there it is, dataverse.crm.dynamics.com. That's all I need. And I'll drop it in there. What happens is it goes out and pulls in a lot of additional things with it. And there's a hint that if I add this hint, it says, you know what, I don't need that extra stuff. And it allows it to build this query much, much faster. So in this case, create navigation properties equals false. If I do that, it's going to go out and pull the data from Dataverse, just the data that I need, and without all these additional relationships that are built into the Dataverse platform. It's saying, hey, I don't need those. You can leave those behind. That's going to make your query much, much faster. So really a quick tip. I've got a blog post. I've got a LinkedIn post, I think, about that. But it's a tip. If you'll add that create navigation properties equals false, you'll be able to build that query much, much faster. In fact, I think if I hit my source, yeah, this is the option right here. I see the Dataverse, and I say whether I include relationship columns or not, and that will speed things up. So really quick tip there. But that's one way of doing it. That's where I'm going through the data, and I'm just pulling it through that. And by the way, one of the things, this is actually a secret. Can I share something that's not? I'm going to share something.
No, not if it's not released, because I'll get into a lot of trouble.
No, this is actually, this may be in your environment already.
Okay.
Sorry, don't worry about it. It's me.
Okay.
So I'm going to close and apply that. Look you see the field names?
I'm really worried.
What happens to the field names?
I'm really worried.
Nah, don't worry. This is where we're fun. This is where it's fun.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's going to evaluate that. What it's doing, and you actually saw this in the quick view, the quick report.
Oh, okay.
Is already. That's already there, and it's going through and it's looking at the table schema. It's going to find out something about the table that's interesting. Give it a second here. It's doing a little bit of metadata queries on that data so it can understand what's there. And we will see coming up, creating a connection.
And if you don't see us here next week, it's because Scott's
It's because of
created
that. It's just
information.
me. Nah, this is something that is already starting to roll out. But we'll see the well,
Yep, let's have a look.
yeah, there we go. There we go. This is where it happens. Now, if you'll notice right over here, and if I can do zoom, let's see if I can do zoom it, if that'll work. Notice what happens here is instead of those schema names, it's actually gone out and get the metadata of the field name, the labels, the display labels. That's the label that the end users are familiar with. It's pulling that out of Dynamics and bringing that in here. So instead of having address 1 underscore state or province, it's got it nice and formatted, or industry name, it's got it nice and formatted. So it's a really nice feature that's being added to that connection already. And it's probably rolled out already into your environment if you haven't tried it, but it'll be there. If not, it's there very, very quickly.
That's
so
awesome.
Really cool thing there. Now that's looking at it from one perspective, but a lot of people, especially the people who are familiar with data very deeply, are more comfortable with just writing a SQL query, right? And I can connect to Dataverse using SQL, just like a regular SQL query. Now I'm not hitting SQL exactly. I'm hitting an endpoint that's designed to accept SQL queries. So I'm not hitting the raw tables at the bottom of the stack there, but I am hitting something where I can write, select top 100, account ID name from account. And I can execute that. Yeah, I'll just let it timed out. Let me try it again. Yeah, so now I can write a SQL query directly against that endpoint and check it and get the results back in my query. And I can take that query that I've just written and I can bring it into Power BI and I can query Dataverse using a SQL query directly from Power BI. So let's take a look at how that works. And that is awesome. So here's an example of one where I've brought in just all accounts. And if you'll notice, let me control 1, there it is. So in here, again, I'm connecting to that common data service, which is the data layer that's also known as Dataverse. Connected to my database, told it not to create the connection properties. And now I say there's a native query, and here's my native query where I say, can we get the values where the state code equals 0, meaning there's active, and I can return that into Power BI as a straightforward query, and it becomes part of it. One of the additional things about this that's pretty cool is inside of Dataverse, there's this concept of these views called my views, and you can't see my air quotes, but my views. Things like my accounts or my opportunities, and they're just the things that a user, when they open up Dataverse, might be looking at. In fact, yeah, thanks for showing that. I'll show you what it looks like here. So here's an example of accounts. So accounts could be all the accounts out there, and in this environment, I've got about 300,000 accounts in there. But I can switch it out and say, I just want my accounts. If you'll notice, when I switch to my accounts, it says who's logged in, Scott Sewell, and if I'm logged in and who's the owner of that account, I'm just going to filter this to the owner that's currently logged in. So that's something that Dataverse has been doing for time immemorial. But now in Power BI, I can do the same thing using a hint in the query. So if I go to my accounts here, you'll notice my query's already been hinted, and now it's only returning the Scott Sewell records. So let me show you how you do that. You open up Advanced Editor and go to zoom it. And now, if you'll notice, I've added the state code equals 0, that's normal, but now I've added this additional filter, owner ID equals all caps current underscore user. What that's going to let me do, that hints back to say whoever's running this report or whatever credential is being used to run this report, I want you to take that user and filter the data to only return that the users where that user is the owner ID, owner of that record. So it filters that data back so that we get this narrowed view to just what the user is interested in. Really a powerful thing to do. Now that's not a security model. That's just a way of saying, let's just narrow what's coming back into the report based on that owner ID.
Awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
I love that. I'm actually going to go and try that this week. So, you know, everyone, we do have some, I just want to remind everyone, we do have some t-shirt giveaways. So if you go to AKA PBI show comment on your favorite demo that Scott has done today, and we will randomly select people and send them some t-shirts or a t-shirt.
And I may be about to show you the best demo of all.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we're going to pause for 1 minute because I'm getting a little signal on the bat phone here that our wonderful community managers, Natalie and Eileen, have said that we have some questions for you.
All right.
So what have we got?
Hi, Scott. This is wonderful so far. We're getting some great questions. One question was, what is the difference between common data model and Dataverse?
Yeah, no difference. Just this the common data model or common data service was the previous name for Dataverse.
Okay, that makes sense. Which tables are available to developers in Dataverse for teams?
All the ones that are in teams. So I don't know how to narrow the Dataverse for teams. Now I'm not sure exactly, because I know there's some pieces like some of the sales related tables are not available in the teams because teams is kind of a smaller footprint. But anything that's in the teams schema is again available for Power BI to report off of.
I think we can get Łukasz Pawłowski to answer that question. I'm just going to mention him in that chat to go ahead and do that. And these are all in the Power BI show, PBI show chat. PBI show comment. Yes. Awesome. Okay, Natalie, any more?
Yes, and this one's kind of a long one, so bear with me for a second. Is it possible to have an option of downloading filtered table or data using a button as a local file and not export option, going on to table, but as a dedicated button option for better user experience?
I think that's an idea, yeah?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it sounds like obviously from within Dynamics, you can export to Excel. Within Power BI, you can bring that in and export it if you needed to. But if you've got a great report, nobody needs to export to Excel. At least that's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Some great questions.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to continue with the questions in aka.ms PBI show comment. And Natalie, thank you so much for pressing the bat signal there and getting us some questions answered. So join us thereafter, because Scott's going to be monitoring that for a little bit and he'll be answering some questions if we don't get to them in the show. Okay, Scott, what's the next thing that you're going to show us?
This is where it gets really amazing, because what we have are those ways in which we can get data from Dynamics directly into Power BI. And those are great for small, medium, work group size data sets that we're pulling that in. But sometimes you need to go big or go home. You need to have an enterprise size data set. I know some of the people that are on the live stream, you guys are watching, and I recognize, I see you guys with the monster data sets, and you all are working through things that go way beyond, kind of a visualize this view approach. That's where a new feature that came out back in, I think November, and it's been expanding ever since, called Azure Synapse Link, Azure Synapse Data Link, and I probably butchered the name. It's Azure Synapse Link for Dataverse. We'll call it that for now. But let me show you how you get that. And let me tell you about what it actually does. So first off, what it does is it takes all the data that's sitting inside a Dataverse and starts writing it out to the data lake. Anything you configure, you tell it what you want, and it'll start writing it out to the data lake. And then the other portion of it, it puts a view on front of that so that you can read it using SQL out of that data lake. Really powerful way of getting that out. By the way, some of your users have, if they've had Dynamics for a long time, they may have an export, data export service running. That was kind of an old way of doing it, that would write it out to an Azure SQL database.
Okay.
And that was fine for a while. We really have gone beyond that and said we need to scale it up even further. And so Azure, the Synapse Data Link, and again, I've got the name all backwards.
Perfect. It's perfect. It's Synapse Data Link. It's perfect.
So, yeah, Synapse Data Link is the evolution of that, and this will be something you can step in and help them do to help develop, help them expand what they're doing. So let me show you that. So I'll go to my desktop.
Awesome, because Chris Wagner was commenting on that earlier, so
yeah.
Chris is going to be super happy about that one.
Yeah. So Chris, and so anybody that's using this is a way to get it out. And by the way, I've talked to several users in the past recently, and there was kind of a fear factor around how complicated is this? And the reality is once they went through it, they go, holy smokes, that's actually easy. And so they've been super happy about it. So this is, I've gone over to my maker environment. This is the, if the folks are familiar with Power Apps, will see this. And this is where they can see the configuration of how to configure Dataverse. It's something that they're doing all day long. Inside they have their solutions and the different tables, etc. But there's also this one feature called Azure Synapse Link. That's what it's named right here, probably because if a longer name wouldn't fit. But it's Azure Synapse Link. And what this will start doing is it lets me pick a store. Let me open this one up. And if I were to, and I've identified which tables I want, and it's going to sync those out as I make changes inside of Dataverse. It's going to it's going to sync that out to those tables. So now we're seeing, the synchronization dates, how many records are out there, how many have been synchronized, etc. And it's just an ongoing thing. And it's writing it out to the data lake. If you'll see out here in my data lake, I've got they're currently writing them out in big CSV files, but it also has the ability to put a Azure Synapse Analytics workspace in front of it that says, let me see all this data summarized using SQL. Or not summarized, but let me see it where I can write a SQL query against it, and I want to see what's going on in there. So let me open this one up, Azure Synapse Analytics, and I will also show you a report that I have written writing against that. It takes just a second for it to come up. There's that one, and here's my Synapse Analytics.
Beautiful.
Yeah, come on. There we go.
And it's live.
I didn't wake it up. I should have woke it up while we were talking, while we had our we were just throwing the t-shirt out. Yeah.
Well, I think it shows, the realities, right? Where people might think, hey, it's going to take, 20 minutes or whatever it is. Yeah. It doesn't really. It's only taking a few seconds. But we're so used to things happening so fast that
here it is.
We're expecting it to go a bit faster. And I've seen those comments in there, PA Bear, I think it is. And Alex, thank you very much, Alex Powers, for answering those questions. Yeah. Appreciate you.
Here you go. You want to take a look? So now I've got a lake database, which is just a SQL view pointing to the data that's been written out into the lake. And if you'll notice, I've got my account table. Here's the columns that are in it. And I can query that using a SQL, just a regular old SQL query. So if I could do new SQL strip, select that query and run that. So very straightforward ability to grab that data. I've also got in here partition views or partitions within that, which are kind of hourly snapshots. which in the current state, you may want to use that just because it waits until all the transactions have finished for a particular hour, because things are being written out asynchronously. So that says, okay, at the top of the hour or whatever time it is, here's everything that's been written out. So we have a kind of a read committed snapshot. We do that snapshot, you can read it from there, but it's exactly the same data, except one's a near real time and one is a hourly snapshot. But that's a view of all the data that's in there. I've chosen my approach, and the approach I recommend is to take that data and put in front of it a second serverless SQL database. Now, it's a serverless, meaning that I'm not paying to have it sit there and run 24 hours a day. I just pay a little bit as I use it, as I consume data out of it. In this case, let me go to my views, and you'll notice I've got a view called accounts. And in that account table, I have narrowed it down and said, I only want a handful of columns to be available to me. This name, account number, city, state, etc. For that, that's all that I need to be able to display up into my reports. So I'm going to get rid of all the cruft or the unused columns and just narrow it down and make it really easy for a user to consume. I've also done some things. I can connect to the same information using SQL. So if I connect to it, so I could connect to my database engine and go over to, this may prompt me. I may have to, I have to sign in here real quick. Let me sign in and send myself a notification. So it is secure, which is a good thing. It's prompting me saying I need to tell it which, that I am the one who's signing in. And I have to look at my phone. Now it's accepted it. So now I can see this connection down here. And if I click down here, I can see my Dataverse environment that I created and the views inside of it. And I'll go ahead and script that out as a create to a new window, just so you can see what I've done in the query. But it's a great way to just build a nice, tight query that returns a clean set of data for me that I can take advantage of. So in this case, you'll notice that I've got the data here that I'm pulling back from the account table, but I've also the account partition table, but I've also joined into the metadata to get the option set labels for the account industry code. So I've joined in that, and I've also narrowed it to say I only want a list, narrow it down to just the accounts where there is an active opportunity. And so I've sort of narrowed it down to make a nice, tight, clean set of data that I can bring into Power BI. And so if I go into Power BI and transform the data here, you'll see I'm pointing to those views, just writing a SQL query. And the amazing thing is it's taking all of that data, writing it to the lake, and then making it available in SQL as a SQL view. I've kind of selectively narrowed that view down a little bit so that I can just read a sort of more restricted version of that. And then that then becomes available for me to query and then take into my report. So one of the things that you're going to see a lot of is in these reports, people will bring in this massive amount of data. My first mistake, and this is the one that I mentioned, I made some big mistakes at the beginning. The first mistake I made was trying to boil the ocean. And so I tried to pull in a ton of data, and I pulled in every table related to everything under the sun into my first Power BI model. And then I wound up about pulling my hair out trying to write DAX queries to narrow things down. But in this case, you'll notice I've brought it into a nice tight star where I've got the opportunity table right in the middle, and then I've got my dimensions off the side of it, so that I've got a really clean set of data that I can pull in and take advantage of and really make that report that can pop for a user. So that's really the approach that I've taken, and I think it's such an amazing tool, such an amazing opportunity for people to take advantage of.
I love it. This is so fantastic because it shows everybody how easy it is to connect all of these pieces. And it really does make you look like a superhero, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know that this has been for not just for me, but for a lot of people, this has been one of those career level ups because you become the unicorn that knows how to stitch these things together. I know Alex is on the call, and Alex has taken this. I just showed him this much, and he took it and ran with it, and now he's doing some amazing work within our team, and with customer conversations that really show off the value of this. I know Chris is on the call. Chris has been doing the same thing and really bringing these tools together for people and unlocking real business value.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the chat too. I can say hi to Dakota, hi, and actually I see Otto there. So hi Otto from Guatemala, and hi to the Latin community, and shout out to Miguel Escobar for starting the Latin community and in the Power BI community, which we're really proud of. And there were a couple of comments there, I believe, in Spanish. So if somebody could help answer those, we would really appreciate that. I do not speak Spanish yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah, so Alex does a ton of stuff, right, at the enterprise level, but also you can go ahead, get some permissions in your environment and do the same thing even in a smaller business. So this isn't just a, massive enterprise solution. You can use it pretty much anywhere, which I love. And we do have a question actually about, let's see, here it is. Can I chain data flows together by using one data flow as the source for another downstream data flow? And can I do the same thing with Dataverse? And can one Dataverse be used as the source for another Dataverse? So there's three. First one is chain data flows together by using one data flow as the source for another.
Sort of a whole different topic area.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll leave that one for the comment conversations in behind for the data flow piece, because it's really kind of it's got its own discussion area. Okay, I do have some customers who are using 2 copies of Dataverse. They've got 2 different, like maybe one of them's in North America and one's in Europe, and they have those available, and they're using some of the Data Factory to move data back and forth between them. It's kind of that's kind of an edge case that people are doing that, but it can be, you can use integration tools to move data back and forth between them.
Okay, so you heard it here first. So whoever asked that question, I can't see right now, but please continue that conversation with Scott on aka.ms PBI show comment. We do have a couple of other questions. Do you have time still, Scott? Is that okay? Okay,
this is awesome. Great. I love this community. I got so much out of the community. I love to be able to get a chance to give a little back.
Yeah, for sure, right? We do have one from Dakota, which is any plans to increase the map points to show more than 3,500?
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be
that's a Power BI one, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't, that's not a Scott one, but Dakota, I will get back to you on that one. Just go to the PBI show comment and ask the question and we'll respond. And there's connecting Power BI user using Synapse Link. We already did that one. Mm-hmm. And Natalie, are there any more that we have not answered? Natalie.
Hey.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Here's Natalie. 1 second. There you go.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry.
I was just saying, are there any more that we haven't answered? We're looking at a couple more questions here.
Yes. Give me one moment.
Thank you. We did have one about, what level of licensing. We, from the community, we don't talk about licensing because really it changes, and I'm not an expert on that. So I can't answer that question. Sorry. I don't know that you can either, Scott, but I know we have another question on, does that work in Azure Synapse Link to Dataverse too? Pretty please.
From Azure Synapse Link to Dataverse?
Yeah.
It's a one-way street. It's okay. Dataverse writing from Dataverse out into the data lake using the Synapse Link.
Okay.
Now, I will say, let me qualify that just a second. I do have customers who are using the Synapse Link to write data out to the data lake from Dataverse. So it's Dataverse using the Synapse Link out to the data lake, and then using Synapse on top of that to then go and enrich the data. So using some of the advanced stuff that's available in Synapse, like some of the Spark or the machine learning pieces that are there, it can then supplement the data, possibly even from other data sources in the enterprise, and then write that back into Dataverse. So it's using like a data factory
Okay.
to push that back in and enrich the data inside of Dataverse. So I do have some people that are completing that loop, which is a pretty cool thing.
You know, I would love a diagram on that, you know, because it's so much easier to visualize the, you know, the travel paths or the highways of our data. So if you know anyone who could do that for us, maybe Scott, or
Yeah,
do
let's
you know
see.
anyone who could do that? Maybe,
maybe.
maybe.
Let's see if I can.
Watch this space for more
Why don't you bring
updates. Right?
yeah. You want to show my screen for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a visual that I've been using on a presentation where I have the Synapse link for Dataverse, which is writing into the data lake. That arrow comes down to the data lake, and then from the data lake, it's coming up into these created views in Synapse, which is picking up both the metadata from Synapse, from Dataverse, and it creates all that, and then that becomes my source for Power BI. And the one thing that I did add to it was, in my case, the example I showed you, I did the same thing, except I created some custom views here in this green serverless SQL there, and I created those custom views to kind of narrow it down and sort of fine tune the data set that I wanted to be able to return to Power BI. So I created it that way, but that's one way of looking at it.
I love that that custom report views, that reporting layer. I do have a question about this. Where do you set your RLS, right? Where do you set your, and Natalie, we will come back to you, I'm sorry. Where do you set your security there and your permissions? And
so
I have questions about MIP labels as well, but yeah, if you could, do you set it at the reporting layer or do you set it at?
In this case, I do have a permission to who's allowed to see this view, just to start up, just a clean break there as to who's allowed to see the view. Once I bring it into Power BI, I can add RLS to that if I wish, and say I want to narrow that down, and I'm applying basically a custom security model using RLS in here to say how do I want to filter or restrict who sees this in the place. I want to probably, now you bring security in the model, I want to qualify there that there is a really rich and complex security model inside of Dataverse. If I'm using those original two ways of connecting to Dataverse, the first two I showed you in the demos, if I'm using either one of those and I'm doing it as a direct query, the report will inherit that security model from Dataverse. So whatever security model is set up inside of Dataverse, if I'm using a direct query against it, the report's going to inherit that. And so if I'm only allowed to see, quote unquote, my opportunities, my report's only going to show me that information. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful feature. It does put some strain on the process because it does add some overhead to the report visibility. But if I wanted to do that, I can take advantage of that security right there using direct query.
Awesome. Thank you, because that always concerns me, and I love that our MIP labels follow our data. That's just one of the best things. Power BI does that. No other tool I know does that. No other BI tool does that. So that's one of my favorite things. Okay, back to Natalie. What was the other question? Sorry, Natalie. Thank you for waiting.
It's okay. I know that you talked a little bit about this, but maybe this is a little bit different. But someone asked if there was a workaround in case your data set is larger than 80 megabytes.
Yeah, so great question. That's a very common question. And I ran a couple of things that I pointed out, kind of did them in passing very quickly. Was number one, the data set behind the scenes, like you could have 1.5 gigs of data. In fact, in my environment, I've got about 1.5 gigs worth of opportunity data, and I'm running those queries against that opportunity data, even through that 80 megabyte limit. And I do that because I've narrowed it to just the columns I'm interested in. I've eliminated any long text columns like description fields, which are really not useful for an analytics model. And I've narrowed it to just the opportunities that are current, like the current this year's opportunities. So if you want to use a direct query and you want to pull it in through that 80 megabyte limit, you can sort of fine tune your report request to keep it happy within that list. If you need to say, hey, give me all the data from the last 15 years, bring it all in and with a bunch of supplemental data, you're probably going to go out through the Azure Synapse link, which has no 80 megabyte limit at all. You got gigabytes, throw gigabytes of data out there, and it won't even blink at that.
Cool. Okay, so we want to know which one of Scott's demos that you like. So we have 4 demos. We had the pre-demo. Let's list out the demos that you did.
A bunch of them. Let's say the visualize a view. I did.
Yep.
We demoed embedding a report inside of a record.
Yep.
Inside of that, and then we talked about connecting the data model with Power BI with the desktop, and then also connecting through SQL, and then Azure Synapse link.
Awesome. So was that 4 or 5?
That's probably more than I count. More than I have on one hand.
I think Daniel is putting them up under the screen, like one by one, but I don't think that we asked him to do that beforehand. So he's probably madly typing to get that on the screen for everyone. But we're going to list them in the show notes. If you go to pbi.aka.ms/PBI show comment, comment on your favorite Scott Sewell demo, and we will randomly select you for a t-shirt. So please go ahead and do that. Okay, Scott, do you have anything else? I mean, I'm sure you've got a ton more, but do you have anything else that you can show us today?
Just wanted to send you off with a bang on that and show you where. I'll tell you let me show you one last piece of this demo that I have. This is not really
July theme, fireworks.
Yeah, so one of the things it's not quite that, but it's something. It's something. We'll see. You want to show my screen there? One of the things that I've done frequently as I talk to customers about it is I had this is, by the way, this is a Power App demo called Power Apps.
Ooh.
And I'm using the Titanic data set. That's a pretty common data set that's out there. And I've got the passengers in there, and I can go to one of the records and say, let me go to let's see if I can find somebody. Here's a first class passenger. And I can go to the first class passenger record type and see an embedded, just like I did on the account record earlier, and I can see an embedded dashboard that describes what happened to the first class passengers on the Titanic, which is pretty straightforward. The other thing I can do is I can go and I can build a Canvas Power App. Like this case, this is a Canvas app that was built to show passengers getting on the boat. Like Joey Bag of Donuts here, we're welcoming him on the boat. And when you get onto a cruise, they might offer you a beverage or a chance to play in the arcade or something. That's a comp. And I can go to the comp area, and in the Power App, I can see an embedded Power BI report very easily showing me how many comps, in this case, how many of these are available still to be given away. So it's a really nice integration back and forth within that. But going back to the original part where you tell the story, it's amazing how important it is or how valuable your skill of storytelling with data, how valuable that skill you have is as you take the data that people can see, the numbers and columns and checklists that they have, and you can then turn it into a real story so they can take advantage of it and they can see what's happening and understand more about how they can improve safety in this case, or how they can understand where they learn more about what's going on. And of course, you always have to include the aquarium, but that's another story.
That's an oldie but a goodie, isn't it? One of the first ones.
You gotta have the aquarium in there somewhere.
And I do love the Titanic visual there, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Going the boat across the top. So I don't know who did that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did that with PowerPoint and PowerPoint animation.
Okay. Well, that's another show.
Something new. Yeah.
That's another show. And we do have some docs or something that you were talking about are coming out soon.
Yeah.
What are they about, Scott?
Yeah. So I've got a couple of documents that I've written that really talk a lot about. Let me go to my environment here. That talk a little bit about where you can learn more about this. And I've written some documents on this Power BI Dataverse document set. There it is. So if you go to this in GitHub, and I think the link, Daniel's going to share the link, or it'll be in the notes.
It'll be in the
There's
show notes. Yeah.
2 documents. One's a PowerPoint that I've frequently used as kind of my jumping off point for showing off how to do some of this stuff that I've done. The second is a Word document that, as I've learned things, or I've found hints, or I've found better explanations, I've gone ahead and added that to the Word document, so that it's a go-to. It's a hint. It's called Developing Power BI for Dataverse, and it will tell you a little bit about the things that I've learned and help you get started with it on an ongoing basis.
I think that's going to be awesome. If everyone goes to the aka.ms PBI show comment, we'll have all of those links in the show notes for you, so you can take advantage of all of the learnings. I mean, that's a great tool to have, Scott. Thanks for putting that together. I mean, that's super cool.
It's been good. And some of this will actually wind up in the official documentation over time, but it's just not there yet.
Nice. And then you're also going to be on Ted's Dev Camp soon, yeah?
I'm excited about that. In fact, we're going to dig deeper into the Synapse piece there. We're going to dig in and take a look at that, and we're going to go through a lot more detail about that. I kind of did a quick flyby on it today. We're going to dig deeper into it there.
That's awesome.
And then I'm also going to be in Chris Wagner's show as well. You're coming up soon.
So, shout out to Chris.
We'll have a good time.
So, Daniel, have we forgotten anything? You know, sometimes we forget to. We need your Twitter. It's at Scott Sewell. Mine is at ms_Kelly Kaye. Daniel, have we forgotten anything else?
It all sounds good. I think we talked about Dev Camp, so everyone make sure to register there. Make sure to follow Scott on Twitter. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for all the demos, Scott and Kelly, and thank you for commenting. But just make sure that you comment in our community, because that's where we can kind of reach out and contact you and let you know, and engage with you, and have an opportunity to win your merch or your giveaways and things like that. So it's PBI show comment. Check that out as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'm super excited about the next show, and I think Ted's Dev Camp is going to be live streamed soon as well. So we're moving to that, and you'll be able to ask questions live, similar to what we can today. And Natalie, thank you so much for being a great community manager. You too, Eileen. I know you're out there. Everyone, huge shout out to Daniel Zana for being a great producer. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for the invite.
Super excited, really, really happy that you joined us. Can't wait for the next show. I've got 2 on my list now from today, and you said it on the show, so it's definitely going to happen now.
That's right.
Okay, and I'm going to see you at Dev Camp on when is it? July 28, 20. I'm looking at it's a Thursday. I can't remember the date there. What is that one?
I don't.
What was that, Daniel?
28th is correct.
28th. Yeah.
Okay, at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Okay, and with that, I think we're at the end of the show today. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us from wherever you are. We appreciate you spending time with us, because we know you can spend it with anyone. Okay, remember to register at community.powerbi.com. Pop some questions in at aka.ms/PBI show comment for you to win or be chosen, selected for a t-shirt. Tell us which demo you loved most of Scott's. And with that, I'll sign off and say we'll meet you in the community.